Nicole Kidman has made her first public appearance since her split from Keith Urban.
We've been through a lot together.
We've got a timeline for it now, and the time it's now.
People thought Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman were one of Hollywood's few true success stories, built on love, healing, and second chances. They had been together for almost 20 years. But behind their smooth public image, cracks were appearing that not many people outside the group understood. Fans were shocked when they learned they were divorcing because they thought the pair had already been through the worst. After the incident, Urban told a shocking secret about Kidman that changed how people saw their whole relationship. What went wrong with their marriage? Stay tuned as we find out what he really meant. The man before he got married. Neil Urban and Nicole Kidman's real story didn't start with a wedding in Sydney or a walk down the red carpet in Hollywood. It started many years ago in a small house where country music played all the time through the walls of a family shop. Keith Urban was born in Whangarei, New Zealand, on October 26, 1967. Before moving to Queensland, his family raised him with country music, guitars, and long hours at work. Keith's father really liked American country music and encouraged his interest in it right away. While he was still a child, he was already competing in local talent shows and learning the guitar so hard that he had technical skills that set him apart from other young singers in his group. But as we'll see, his ability was never the only thing that made the hardest years of his life what they were. Watch more to find out more. Around the beginning of the 1990s, Urban made the choice that many artists had already made. In 1992, he moved to Nashville with a lot of goals and skills, but he wasn't sure if any of them would work. It didn't at first. His first few years there were hard, with unstable finances and poor work. His first album didn't get much attention, and he had a hard time making a name for himself in the business. After his first attempt failed, he finally went back to Australia. There was always something about Nashville that made him want to go back, and he did. Everything changed on this second try. By the late 1990s, Urban had a recording deal, had been nominated for a Grammy, and was slowly building a fan base that would make him one of the most famous country music artists of today. Behind all of his success at work, though, was a personal problem that was already changing his personal life in ways that not many people understood at the time. Keith Urban would later say that during those years, drinking and using drugs had become a lot more than just occasional bad habits. They were depending on each other. When people started to take notice of his music business again, he had already been to rehab twice. People around him saw that he was clean, focused, and back in charge. At least some part of him thought that he had dealt with the problem well enough to move on with his life. But after many years, he told the truth about what happened. He told them that he hadn't really done anything about their habits. He had made it look like he was getting better without dealing with the real problem. And this difference would become very important when Nicole Kidman entered his life, because what happened next put their marriage to the test almost as soon as it started. Urban and Kidman both went to the Day USA Gala in Los Angeles in January 2005. It was an event to honor Australian artists and entertainers who work abroad. After meeting Urban, Kidman later said in public that she had a crush on him right away. She said that he didn't seem to be aware of it at all. The two gave each other their phone numbers that night, but nothing happened for months. He didn't call her again for almost 4 months. But once he did, things moved along very quickly in the relationship. Before they got married, they were engaged in May 2006. On June 25th, that same year, they got married at the Cardinal Soretti Memorial Chapel in Sydney in a service with candles. Along with close family and friends, Kidman's adopted children from her marriage to Tom Cruise, Bella and Connor, took part in the service. A lot of people who were there said it felt happy, personal, and real. One thing that changed everything, though, was that Urban's life seemed to be stable until 4 months after the wedding, when it all fell apart. Urban went to the Betty Ford Center in October 2006 to get help for his alcoholism. He stayed there for about 3 months, during which time the marriage had its first big problem almost right away. Kidman gently changed her life to focus on helping him during that whole time. She cancelled the rest of her press duties for the movie Fur, didn't say anything in public, and didn't show up to many events where she could have talked about what was going on. There were no dramatic public statements or efforts to change the news stories. She did nothing but be there for her husband while he dealt with a problem that he later admitted he had never really dealt with before. And that choice was one of the most important times in their whole relationship. For Urban, the experience finally became the line between the life he had made up in public and the real life he couldn't avoid in private. The next step in the healing process wasn't just about keeping a job. It was about facing the issue for the first time. And that hard time set the stage for the rest of their marriage. To our surprise, though, the hardest parts of their story were just starting. What happened next put them both to the test in ways they could not have imagined. The admitted thing that made everything real again. In the minds of most people, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman were more than just a famous couple by the summer of 2024. They were the one type of Hollywood couple that people still wanted to believe in for almost 20 years. Not moving. Durable. Built to last through the kinds of stresses that end most relationships before the cameras even stop rolling. But there was a truth behind that picture that was much more fragile than most people thought. Because they built the basis of their marriage during the crisis, almost as soon as it started. That fact came up again in public in June 2024 at the 49th AFI Life Achievement Award Gala in Hollywood, where Kidman was being honored for her work. The evening itself was meant to be a party. Actors, directors, producers, and people who had worked with her before took the stage to talk about how disciplined, smart, and emotionally deep she was as a character and as a person. But when Urban walked up to the microphone, the whole mood in the room changed. Many tributes to celebrities sound slick and well-rehearsed, but Urban's speech that night had an emotional weight that made everyone in the room quiet down right away. Urban talked freely about the first few months of their marriage in front of the crowd, which was something he had never done before. He said that his drugs, which he had never really dealt with, almost ended the relationship 4 months after the wedding, before it even had a chance to start. His story was about going to rehab during the first year of the marriage, when he wasn't sure if the marriage would last or not. There was no attempt to soften the truth or change it so that it would be easier to remember. Instead, Urban talked about that time in his life as the one when he almost lost the most important thing he had ever built outside of work. He then talked about Kidman. He said she had ignored all of her doubts, the opinions of others, and any other reason she might have had to leave, choosing to stay with him through treatment and healing instead. Urban talked about her with a sense of thanks that made it clear that he thought her choice to stay was the main reason their marriage was still going. Inside the theater, cameras caught Kidman wiping away tears while the crowd was almost completely silent. By the next morning, clips of the speech were being shared all over the world on social media and in entertainment media. People reacted with real emotion because it didn't seem like it was made up for publicity. It felt very close to home. Fans who had been following Urban and Kidman for a long time said it was one of the most honest moments they had ever seen between two famous people. You don't want to miss this part. In addition, that speech made it clear how much stress had been building up in the marriage for years. As usual, some fans went straight to the source to find out what was going on, wondering if Keith Urban's words, which were obviously very personal, were a sign of something bigger going on behind the scenes. Because rumors spread quickly when a big Hollywood relationship starts to show signs of trouble. It wasn't long before online stories about another woman started going around about Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman. Maggie Bohr was Urban's much younger guitarist who had been performing with him during recent shows. Her name kept coming up in fan forums and entertainment news websites. Fans started to watch old performance videos, stage interactions, and small moments again. But they looked different when people saw them through the lens of possible relationship issues. During one show, Urban seemed to briefly swap a lyric from The Fighter while gesturing toward Maggie on stage. Fans quickly shared this video on TikTok and social media as proof that their relationship may have gone beyond music. The web did what it always does after that. Videos were shared again, slowed down, looked at closely, and ideas were made from them. Almost right away, memes started going around, entertainment blogs fueled the rumors, and unnamed insiders started saying that Urban's touring life had been tense for a while. Some fans saw Maggie's dad's online words as fueling the rumors instead of putting them to rest. All of a sudden, what may have begun as harmless stage chemistry started to take on a much bigger meaning in people's minds. But the truth is that none of it was ever proven. Urban and Maggie didn't say anything directly about the rumors in public, and Kidman kept quiet about the reports about her marriage, as she usually does. Strangely, the silence made people even more sure that there was something important going on behind closed doors. Because of the way people treat celebrities, silence is often taken as proof, even if there isn't anything real going on underneath it. But those hints always led people to ask a much bigger question. When did the cracks start to show if they were already there?